brotherhood of today's society, when you have 5 broken souls, it makes the 6th soul very much hesitant to confine in the 5 broken souls.
I'm an advocate of, telling men to speak up whenever they're facing, difficult situations. Unfortunately, a lot of men still don't speak
because they've been forced, they've been pressured into staying quiet.
Oh wow!
Statistically speaking, in Western society, most suicides happen to be men.
But some men will say, "Oh, we'll bottle everything up, drink whiskey, and drop of a heart attack at the age of 50."
Right.
That's the life of a man. That's not the life of a man. That should never be the life of a man.
I think it's right time we start looking into our friendship with our fellow guys. If you have friends that you cannot open up to and make things known to, then something is wrong with that gathering.
Most men nowadays, they don't really have friends. They have just drinking buddies. You go out there, you drink your pain away, and then you go home, and so on and so forth.
What a female has over 100 people that will be listening, will be giving her a shoulder to cry on, lending her an ear to speak to. A man, nobody is there to listen to him outside of maybe immediate family, and even then, everybody's got their own problems to deal with.
Right.
So this man is forced to just bottle everything up.
There's a reason why God created a man and he created a woman as well and make them mates. It is to complement each other so that when one is down, the other one is able to help. Healing starts from the realm of the spirit. Life is spiritual. Hello everyone, how are you doing today? It's your man again, Dr. Earnie, Royalty, your favorite host of the Royalty Mindset Podcast. We are here again with another exciting episode. This episode promises to be educative, to be fun as usual, because we have a very beautiful topic to discuss. And I'm even more excited because of my guest today. My guest is a mental health advocate, a regional director, managing so many businesses here in America. He is no other person than Dominic. Dominic, my friend, nice to have you on my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much for being here. We talked about something. I was like, let's talk about mental health issues that we have in our society today, facing men specifically.
Okay.
So, talking about men's health, I do understand there are a lot of things happening around the men's society and how they're being impacted, especially in their health status. And then I thought about it, let's have a discussion, Dominic, and talk about this and see how we can help a lot of men
Absolutely.
out of their cocoon.
Absolutely.
Dominic, tell me, what is mental health?
There's mental health and there's also physical health, and they both play a role, especially in humans and in both genders.
Right.
We'll start out with that. However, in Western society, within the past 10, 20, 30 years, so on and so forth, men have not been able to freely express themselves. They have been told to just face obstacles on their own. They have been told to shut down, to be more stoic, to only provide, to only be the protector, the provider, and they have felt less like themselves. They have felt less like humans. They don't have an avenue to express who they are and what they've become and their journey, the obstacles they come across, the pains. They are set to, most men, they are used to just licking their own wounds and knowing that they don't have a voice and somebody to give a listening ear, which is where shows like this come in. And ultimately what we want to do is give men and women ultimately, but let's focus on men right now. I'm a very, very big advocate, just like you said about that. And I'll be, hopefully, God willing, launching my own podcast soon in regards to that matter and so many other topics. But I would love to hear from both genders in regards to this situation and talking about laws and certain things that we're going to discuss today on how we can eventually shift the mindset and make more, bring an awareness to mental health in general, but specifically men's mental health.
Wow. Brilliant. Very brilliant indeed. You see, this topic is very sensitive,
Right.
At the same time, very, very important. I feel this is a topic that is really not discussed much enough. The men needs to be liberated.
Right.
I'm an advocate of, telling men to speak up whenever they're facing, difficult situations. Unfortunately, a lot of men still don't speak.
Right.
And I know there are a lot of reasons why we have this in the society today, right? And that's the reason why I'm really very, very excited about this topic we're having today. Let us educate the public what mental health issues are, that they exist actually, and how we can actually face them and bring people out of it.
Right.
So the whole society have a role to play in this. So with what you just mentioned, that the men usually don't speak and they are facing a lot of condemnations from wherever they are. Why is this exactly? What do you have to say about it? Why do men not speak when it comes to this issue that is so sensitive?
Because they've been forced, they've been pressured into staying quiet.
Oh wow.
Statistically speaking, in Western society, most suicides happen to be men, and most suicides are from men that just don't feel like they have a voice. They don't have an opinion. They can't speak up. Nobody gives a listening. I'll give you an example. A man and a woman are in a relationship. There's a breakup that happens abruptly. Oftentimes, and this is statistics, oftentimes men, almost across the board, never really think about a breakup ahead of time. They don't check out mentally when it comes to a relationship ahead of time. Usually, unless the relationship is terminated by the man, which is rarely, unless it's a one-off situation.
Right.
Unless the relationship is terminated by a man, oftentimes female check out mentally before they check out physically, which it could be months, could be days, could be weeks. But when the relationship does terminate and it does end, when a female has over 100 people that will be listening, will be giving her a shoulder to cry on, lending her an ear to speak to. A man, nobody is there to listen to him outside of maybe immediate family, and even then, everybody's got their own problems to deal with.
Right.
So this man is forced to just bottle everything up, hit the gym, do what he needs to do, and then the cycle gets repeated because those emotions never get healed. They never get spoken on. They never, and a lot of people don't even know about the spiritual aspect of it, which is something I want to touch up on. There's a lot of people that don't know about meditation. They don't know how to self-love. So they allow for old wounds to bleed on new partners and new relationships. And it becomes this never-ending cycle. And eventually it becomes toxic.
Right.
Some of the best men, or let me rephrase, most of the players of today's society that I've come across personally were at one point some of the purest men, and they've had the purest of hearts, but they've traded their innocence for the experience that this world has given them. And unfortunately, it's been a bad experience. So they get to a point when they're like, you know what, I'm done. I'm no longer doing that. They go from being prey to being predator. And it's a vicious cycle, and we need to give them a voice because we need to end that cycle, and we need to bring the new generation up in a healthy environment rather than a toxic environment.
Wow, great points. Great point, Dominic. You see, this podcast is called the Royalty Mindset Podcast.
Right.
You cannot have a great mindset if you are facing mental breakdown.
Right.
And that's the reason why I really see this topic as a very valuable topic for us to discuss today, because you cannot have a sane society if men start breaking down.
Right.
And like you said, a lot of men are not given that attention that they deserve. A lot of men are not given shoulders to cry upon or to cry on, like the women do have. And that is a big concern, because the man is not to be a very strong human being, superhuman. And because of that, he tends to be neglected in the society. Whatever he passes through, nobody cares. Nobody really knows. Nobody cares because we don't even speak. And that is why I'm mentioning again that it is right time for men to really start speaking out. Don't keep it within you. Speak out. Let it all out. Let the people hear you so you can have that healing. You mentioned something. You said it's a circle. It keeps rotating. They're broken today. Tomorrow they start into a different thing again, and they are broken again. They start again. They are broken again. They're really not getting that healing they want to get. And you don't expect a sane and a better society when you have such men rigmaroling the society. And that's how important this topic is. Let the men be given that open arm so that they are embraced and they're comfortable enough to really say what they're going through so they can receive support and help and become sane again, right? So you talked about the spiritual aspect of things. How can meditation, which you just mentioned, help men out of this situation?
Self-love.
Self-love.
Self-love. A lot of people have forgotten what it means to have self-love. To be able to be fully content with themselves. To be 100% with themselves. And I'll speak on both genders.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there, again, specifically Western society, that feel that and have been brought up through a generation with movies and different TV shows, and you know, one of my favorite sentences is "You complete me," and we saw that on a lot of romantic movies, and this speaks to both genders because women are wanting that type of male that would say those words and utter those words and mean them, and men are looking for that female that will or woman that will eventually complete them.
Right.
But in reality, when it comes down to it, and a lot of psychologists will argue the same point, you need to be completely okay and completely content with yourself. You need to be happy.
Be made whole. Yeah.
On your own. Because if you are not 100%, if you're not able to be okay by yourself, how are you going to be okay with somebody else? What at that point, what do you bring to this relationship outside of the skeletons and the demons and whatever? Because everybody has that in their closet. Dating used to be so simple back in the day. It used to be, I like you, you like me, let's see if this works. Nowadays, it's about whether this person wants that, whether this person wants this. Is this person thinking this? Do they have options? Do they want to keep their options? There's just so much that goes into it. So now, in my personal opinion, more than ever, a man and a woman needs to be completely content with themselves. They need to be okay with themselves. And meditation does bring that forth. It gives you an opportunity to release all of that, all that bottled up energy, all that bottled up emotions, all those feelings that you feel. That, I mean, it could be from a variety of things. It could be from work, could be from life, whatever the case may be. People don't journal, people don't meditate as much as they used to. And I'm a big advocate on those because it gives you a way out, gives you an avenue. So even if you're unable to speak those words, you're able to jot them down or speak them into the universe. Get them off your chest.
Brilliant. So let me just add to what you have said regarding the spirituality aspect of things, because I am a very spiritual person, and I believe, you know, healing starts from the realm of the spirit. Life is spiritual. This is one of the things I always say to people, that they should take their spiritual life very seriously. Being spiritual, I'm rephrasing again because I had said it before in my previous, episodes, that being spiritual doesn't mean that you go to church every day, or you go to the mosque every day, or you go to your temple every day. It's your mindset. It's a mindset. It is basically the way you think, your thinking faculty, how it's formed, and how you relate with, spirituality, how you relate with, the universe, basically, whether God or whatever you believe in. And if you understand that this world is spiritual, or anything you see here is spiritual, you learn how to relate with the universe as such as well. Having a mental breakdown can be corrected if you understand your spiritual self. If you know who you truly are, you understand that it is not just the physical body that you see. There is an inner man in you that is the real you. And that real you cannot be overcome by any force, cannot be overpowered by any force. It has the ability to repair you. Man is supposed to be self-repairing. You can actually repair yourself
Right.
by yourself.
Right.
That's what you just mentioned in a different method or in a different word, that you have to meditate. Meditation is actually where it all starts from. When you really know who you are, you only get to know who you are through meditation. When you meditate to really see the inner you, the real you, which is your spiritual self, you'll be able to discover that truly there is nothing that you should be worried about. Whenever I talk about these topics, I get so emotional about it, because truly, I am not trying to undermine the topic we're trying to discuss right now. I have never for once felt rejected, degenerated, or having myself broken down mental wise, or wherever. That is because I am spiritually sound. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know there is no force out there that is capable of bringing me down into that situation whereby I'm like, oh, I'm broken mentally.
Right.
And I feel every man should really know this. And that's the reason I just wanted to bring in this to support what you just said regarding the spirituality of this whole topic. Makes plenty sense.
Absolutely.
Sense.
And that's a blessing.
Yeah.
And very few people are able to utter those words
Right.
and truly mean them. You spoke about the inner man. Let me elaborate on the inner child. There's a lot of men and women out there who come from broken homes,
Right.
especially in Western society, and that tend to trigger that adds on certain experiences, certain behaviors.
Right.
That they may even not know on the subconscious or even a conscious level. They may not know that their behavior is toxic. Some people become avoidant. Some people become anxious. Some people can become extremely detached. There's a whole lot that goes with it, because oftentimes people go unheard. And when children are unheard, there's repercussions to every action. There's a reaction.
Right.
And men that grow up, and young boys that grow up and become men, they don't feel like they can contribute to society as much, because all society does is pressure them down, beat them down, for lack of a better term.
Right.
And they cannot become as expressive anymore. So they tend to just look within and just break down within in a silent manner. And the reason I say I'm an advocate is because I want people to learn what to look for.
Right.
When it comes to mental health, what signs to look for. There's a very popular term called tears of a clown. Certain people, certain telltale signs, certain people that maybe talk a little bit too much, people that joke a little bit too much, people that consistently wanted to be around other people, cannot sit by themselves. Those are oftentimes, generally, those are signs of loneliness. And people need to look into that. People need to make sure that others are heard. It doesn't really take much of a person's day to listen to somebody. We all have our demons. We all have our problems. But every person is on their journey, and each one teach one.
Right.
If you've been there and you've climbed your way out of that hell, pull your head down and help somebody else. And then they can go turn around and do the same thing. That's just the way the world is supposed to work, in my opinion.
Right.
But in today's society, we live in a me, always me before everybody kind of society, which is very much unfortunate. It's caused a lot of mental issues across all both genders,
right.
across all types of people. And in reality, people have less of a voice, because no matter how they feel, life just goes on and on and on, and they feel like they're falling behind, and there's nobody to listen. And then whenever people seek out help, they seek out help from psychiatrists, and that's the ones that actually do seek out help. And oftentimes people, especially in today's economy,
right.
they can't afford to do something like that.
It's expensive.
So it's very expensive. And look, I'm a huge believer in seeing professionals, but professionals have the right to ask, because they've really worked hard. So
right.
They have the right to charge what they charge. But oftentimes, when most of America is living paycheck to paycheck, they don't have the ability and the luxury to
take care of such situations.
Exactly. So that gets thrown to the back burner.
Yeah.
And then so on and so forth.
Indeed, interesting. You see, okay, now, as men, you know, we usually will go in groups, right? We have group of guys as friends. Um, and you realize that even friends don't even talk about this. They don't even say whatever they're going through to each other. Why do you think that is so? Is it that there is no relationship between the brotherhood? You know, when you have five friends as guys and you don't talk about those things with them. In some settings, I've seen such, right? Why do you think that keeps happening? Why do men really not want to open up and talk?
I'm actually very glad that you brought this, the brotherhood.
Yeah.
The brotherhood of today's society, when you have five broken souls,
Mm-hmm.
it makes the sixth soul very much hesitant to confine in the five broken souls, because two negatives don't make a positive. So they each single person feels like they don't really have much to contribute, and
Right.
if they do open up, they will be made fun of because people are no longer trained to look for certain signs, to hear. People listen to respond. They no longer listen to take. They listen to just respond. They are, even on a subconscious level, they are dismissive of what the other person is saying. So as men, they go out there, they have a drink. I mean, some men I've even heard just make fun of, or joke about it, but
Right.
really it's not a joke. There's a little bit of truth under every joke if you just listen to it. But some men will say, "Oh, we'll bottle everything up, drink whiskey, and drop of a heart attack at the age of 50.
Right.
That's the life of a man." That's not the life of a man. That
No.
should never be the life of a man. That's not a fulfilling life.
No.
Your life should not be just to provide, to protect, and that's it. You're not a bank.
Right.
You're not a machine. At the end of the day, you're a human. You're supposed to be able to express yourself. You're supposed to talk about what's bothering you, what's burning you up. Now let's move on to women. There are very many.
I was coming to that women aspect of it. Yeah, we'll come to that because I don't think we're done yet with these men.
Okay.
Settings. Because I read a story some time ago, and it was about four friends who were very close. They were all guys. They had their different lives, and they were very happy all together. They were successful. They had money. They had good career, good businesses, families and everything. So they were great. And then one of them went home and committed suicide. And the rest three were wondering what must have happened. Why? How did it happen? We were together last night. No, he never showed any sign of, troubles, anything troubling him. All of a sudden, he's dead, committed suicide. And they later discovered that he had some issues with his family, with his wife specifically, which he couldn't really relate with his friends. And that, I keep wondering, why would you have four friends that you go out and do things with, you can do anything with, and not want to bring out those key things that are really troubling you? If truly you guys are great together, I think it's right time we start looking into our friendship with our fellow guys.
Right.
If you have friends that you cannot open up to and make things known to, then something is wrong with that gathering.
With that friendship.
Something is wrong with our friendship. We don't talk about this enough.
Right.
It's not just about drinking and talking business or going to the club or anything like that. We also have to think about our wholeness.
Right.
So if you cannot bring up stuff like this with your friends, something definitely is wrong with our friendship.
Absolutely. I read a quote the other day. It's funny you bring that up. I read a quote that said, "You don't have friends, you have drinking buddies." And that's really what it comes down to. Most men nowadays, they don't really have friends. They have just drinking buddies. You go out there, you drink your pain away, and then you go home, and so on and so forth. And that's
BS.
That's very much so.
Yeah.
And that's what I think happened in this particular scenario. Again, a lot of people don't know the telltale signs.
Right.
And that's why I'm an advocate of training. I've been there. I trained myself, and I went through the courses. There are certain signs to look for. There are certain words, certain phrases that you should, as the minute you hear it, a red flag needs to go up.
Right.
Hey, let's sit down. But if you actually notice nowadays, especially, people, even if they sit down, two buddies sitting down, as soon as they sit down, both phones are on the table. Both phones on the table. The minute you sit down with your phone on the table, you're letting subconsciously, you're letting, or even consciously, you're letting the other person know this is more important than this. Both phones on the table right away. Why? Why? What's so important? You can't take 10, 20, 30 minutes of your time, an hour. Make it a leisure. Make it your break.
Make it worth it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Your break for the day.
Right.
But sit there and listen to your buddy. Give them full undivided attention.
Right.
You would do that for your boss. Why not do that for a friend?
Yeah.
And that's the problem that we have. So back to what we were saying earlier, men feel hesitant opening up about how they feel, because even though women will say, "Oh, go ahead and open up about how you feel," like the minute a man is not stoic and he's not as strong and he starts, let's just say he opens up and he cries, oftentimes he's going to be looked at as weak, and the female's hypergamous nature is going to kick in. Whether, again, consciously or subconsciously, she's going to look for a better mate, somebody that is better. So it's damned if you do or damned if you don't. It's a catch-22 for men. So if they open up to other men, they look weak. If they open up to their women, not all women, a lot of women nowadays, they look weak. So they bottle everything up and they drop, unfortunately, heart attacks. That's why cardiologists say that stress is the silent killer.
Yeah.
Because that's all it does. That's all it does. If you look at statistics of heart disease, America ranks third in heart disease. We shouldn't be that. We're very well advanced when it comes to modern day medicine. But we still, the amount of heart attacks, the amount of suicides, statistically speaking, most suicides in Western society, very much alarming.
Right.
And it's mostly men that do not have a voice. That's why I talked about the podcast earlier.
Right.
That's why we should focus and zone in on mental health and talk about and give men the opportunity to speak about what they've come across, what they're facing on a day-to-day basis in the battles, because even when they go to the courts, the system is so skewed against men that they feel like no matter what they do, it's a loss. It's a catch-22.
Indeed. So look, just what you just mentioned right now is key. It's very key. The laws of the land not helping matters. Right. You know, when you find people in relationship, the first thing the man is thinking of is the law doesn't favor me anyways. Right. Whatever, anything happens tomorrow, that alone is enough to cause that mental health, breakdown. Right. That alone is enough. So in this world where so many things are against the man, the government is against the man, and man is the government. Society is against the man. A lot of things, pressure on the man. Right. When you look at all of these things, it's a ticking bomb just waiting to explode, right? And then you look at all of these things, I'm like, okay, a lot of pressures on man. What is the role of the woman in this case? How can the woman help the man speak up? How can the woman come in? Because I believe in a balanced society. That is my opinion. The man needs the woman, right? The woman needs the man. We all need each other to be able to have a balanced society and be able to succeed. There's a reason why God created a man and he created a woman as well and make them mates, right? It is to complement each other so that when one is down, the other one is able to help lift up. So let's not make it sound or look like the man is the man, he's strong, he's muscular and all of that, because masculinity is all about the muscles. It's all about the mindset. Now, the woman is in the picture in this case. What can the woman do? The man is soft. He's soft in nature. He could be strong physically, but he's soft in nature and always will crave that presence. Because when there is that balanced presence, you'll be so surprised that the man will open up and speak up so he can be helped. And the woman is the only person that can make that happen. Right. What is the role of the woman in helping the man loosen up and speaking up so that he can get the help he needs?
That's a great question. Women need to understand, first and foremost, women need to understand the gender roles, and especially it's how we're all here. Understanding that women need to be in their feminine energy and allow the men to be in their masculine energy. Nowadays, both genders are not happy because men are forced to be in their feminine energy and women are forced to be in their masculine energy. And it's actually bugging women a lot more than it is bugging men. So, with that being said, a good woman, needs to understand that she needs to be the peace for her man's life. And she is nurturing by nature, but not just nurturing to kids, nurturing to also her husband, to her man, because he needs to go out there. She needs to be there for him to be able to go out there, do what he needs to do, fulfill his purpose, establish what he needs to establish, but then come back home and feel a sense of peace, feel a sense of calm, feel a sense of serenity, be surrounded by the love of his life, the person. That is the second most important decision a man makes and a woman makes in their life, which is choosing their partner. And a man needs to be stoic, but also needs to have the comfort zone to be able to express, how he feels and what's bringing him down and what troubles he's facing. And there's only one person that he can do that with, and that's his partner.
Right.
Because nobody else would understand. Nobody else should want the best for that man outside of his woman, and then vice versa. Vice versa. A man should always be on his purpose, but at the same time, the woman also needs to understand that in order for this man to be on his purpose, she needs to invest in him. Just because it doesn't pan out that way right away, that doesn't mean let go of the investment. Life is an investment on its own. And if you feel like you have the right person and the stars aligned, if you're a spiritual person or if you're a religious person, all the other factors come into place. You realize this is an investment. On the woman's side, she needs to invest in making this man bigger, because ultimately it pans out for her.
Yeah.
If he's hungry and he's trying to be the best version he can be, ultimately it pans out for her, because they go from the apartment to the house to multiple houses, whatever the case may be, to having kids, to your kids not being in public school, to being in private school, so on and so forth. She could potentially go from driving a Nissan Altima, not a terrible car, but a Nissan Altima to a BMW X5,
Right.
And then vice versa. So it all comes down to investment and finding the right people to invest in, and actually, but also let's backtrack. You have to be whole and be content with what you have and who you are, but never take your sight off your purpose before finding potentially the right person.
Right.
Heal whatever wounds you have, because if you don't heal your wounds, you let them bleed on new people and new relationships.
Keyword: heal the wound that you have.
Yes, sir.
Else you will bleed on other people. What a great point you just pointed out here. You see, we've said it all. We've said it all. There's nothing left to be said in this topic, because we have really gone, deep, talking about this whole stuff, how we can become better and the role the women play in this whole game. Yeah, you have said the woman should be the man's peace. That is very important. A peaceful man is a whole man. If he's not peaceful, if he doesn't have peace, he can never be whole. He has his own role to play, which is working on himself, and the woman also has her role to play, which is being his peace and continue. It's a continuous maintenance. Right. It's an investment, just like you mentioned. She needs to invest in him. All the man needs from women is that peace. With that peace, he's able to conquer. He's able to move mountains. He's able to get rid of that mental issues or mental health issues that he has. We can't emphasize on this much enough. So, Dominic, thank you so much for this great discussion we've had today.
Thanks for having me.
It has been very educative, and I'm very sure that whoever is going to be watching this has one or two things to gain from what we've said. And I think we should continuously, I believe we should continuously be, an advocate of these mental health issues. Right. It is very important and should be a topic that should continuously be discussed.
Absolutely.
And the men or the brotherhood should understand that we need to speak out. We need to speak out more. Don't keep quiet. If you're facing any difficulties, open up and speak so you can get the help that you need. And only when you have that great mindset that you can win in life, that you can conquer, else you're just going to be living a life full of uncertainties, living a life and becoming a nuisance in the society because you are not healed, you are not whole. You need to speak forth, you need to speak out so you can receive the help that you need. That is where that is the only way we can make our society a better society. And the women, please help the men so they can be free with you and be able to speak to you so you can get them the help that they deserve. Nice meeting you again, brother. And nice having this discussion with you. We're definitely bringing you back, on set. Yeah, we have another discussion sometime soon.
Right.
Yeah, and of course, I would like to be on your podcast that is coming up soon.
Yeah.
I know that podcast is gonna change lives. It's gonna change lives because we continuously have to keep talking about this topic.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, guys. This is where we draw the curtain for today. We'll be right back with another great episode. Stay tuned. We out.